So how are you?
Mm, I'm it's so funny because I'm like excited to see you. So I almost said really good, but like technically not great. But I'm very excited to see you.
What's going on? Not great.
I mean, just my grandma died and my finger won't bend and I'm dealing with a bunch of stuff.
That's a lot. I'm sorry about your
It's fine.
grandma.
Thank you. It's okay.
What's
She
going on
was
with your finger?
I cut my finger on a glass, like super normal, like thought it was. And the cut's like pretty much healed. And my first finger, like, here, like, this is me trying to do this.
Hmm. Oh
Like, it
no.
just, like, the tendon, like, I can feel it like numb on the inside and it just like won't bend at the top. So, and that is my dominant hand. So that's been fun.
That's not great. I hope you didn't like cut something severely. Maybe
Oh
it
yeah, I'm like hoping that it heals in the next like Reddit said I have 6 to 12 weeks and if it's still the same after that, which I don't even want to wait 12 weeks. Like it's been probably 4 or so now. But yeah, I really can't afford to have surgery, but it'll be
well, Dr.
fine.
Reddit said that it'll be fine. I didn't know we were going to Reddit for medical advice. When did we graduate from
That's
WebMD?
That's where I ended up. I don't go to WebMD because WebMD is just like, to
Everything's
me,
cancer.
yeah, it's just like I've never defaulted to that really. And I just got more and more I Google like very specifically. Like I was like looking up the anatomy of the hand and then being like lateral nerve damage from inside of palm. Like I'll Google like the way I type, I think it doesn't even work. I don't know if it works on WebMD. They're just like, "Do you have hand cancer?" And I'm just like, "Thanks."
Yeah, if it's not cancer, you got to get off WebMD.
But I did look at I like even I posted a video of me trying to do what I just showed you on Instagram, like when it first happened, and a couple of my far more intelligent friends that are like actually have degrees adjacent to were like, you should go to like a real doctor, like as far as like a specific doctor for your hand. But I, as a nurse, think A, B, and C. Um, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I would wait it out before you go down that road because if it is something like, here's the thing, and I hate to admit this, we're old now. It happened. Our youth is behind us, and now when
Yeah.
we get injured, recovery is like a whole nother story.
Well, yeah, that's why I've kind of just been letting it I like got this. And so I just
Oh
keep using it all the
no.
time. Just because you can like tell yourself to like keep your fingers straight or not use it, but like it's a part of your hand. You use your hand all day. Like even if I try to open stuff without my first finger, it's still like straining it a little bit. So I think this has been helping. Um, but we'll see. But it was just funny because it happened like right after I did this whole show about like me doing drawings for the first time, like publicly and like being vulnerable in this new version of being creative. And then I cut my first finger and can't bend it. And now it's like hard to write and draw. But
No, and it had to happen on your drawing hand.
it's really funny to me, just, I got one out. So now I have something to work on while I practice writing without my first finger.
Are you ambidextrous at all?
Yeah, a little, but not enough for drawing. I've like noticed like I use chopsticks better actually with my right hand. Like it's kind
Hmm.
of showing me certain things that I am better at with my right hand, like a little bit, but and I used to be when I was younger, my mom said like she would ask me like what hand feels better and I was like I don't know. And like I just couldn't really tell which hand I should have been writing with. So I'm a little bit, but not enough for like drawing. Maybe for like big shading spaces, but I haven't tried in so long that I doing better practicing at using my left hand without my first finger than switching hands completely. But maybe I'll try that tonight. I don't know.
It sounds like your mom wanted to influence you to be right-handed.
No, my mom is also supposed to be left-handed, I think, but she's just
Supposed to be.
older. She's older and they like forced her to write with her right hand.
Oh, that's
I
rude.
really couldn't tell. Like I remember a time in my life where I was like, I got nothing on this. Like neither of these really feels dominant. Cause I'm that way with like sports stuff too
Hmm.
sometimes, like bats and clubs and things. Um, and she was like really trying to like figure it out. And I was like, I don't know. I was like giving her nothing. But she writes with her right hand, but she was like forced to. So I think she would have been left-handed too.
The
Isn't it
things that we
weird?
do to
Yeah.
left-handed people in society.
I know, the devil's hand.
I
Between that and three-ring binders, we really got a bad shake of things.
hadn't even thought of that. And yet I just looked up, I was looking up statistics on things that are rare but not crazy rare.
Mhm.
And it being left-handed was on the list at 10%.
Really? It's that low?
Yeah,
Whoa! I thought there were way more left-handed people.
1 out of 10.
Wow! We're a dying breed.
Maybe because it's not safe for you out there.
That's they definitely don't cater to us, but you don't realize it because you're just going about in the world. But every once in a while, like even if you look at like a BuzzFeed style list of like right-handed things, you'll be like, "Oh, snap. That's so much easier for them."
Yeah.
Or I'm like, "Oh, I just do that with my right hand." Like there's certain things I just do with my right hand because they're not made for left-handed people probably.
I've
I
been
don't
having
know.
my own health crisis.
I was just going to say, how have you been?
I'm falling apart at the seams, Katrina.
Why? Is this a bad yo, the past like since I left LA, well, a little bit like before I left LA, but just like the past 4 weeks, super gnarly.
It's been
Do not
gnarly. It's
recommend.
been like 2 weeks for me of treachery and drama, physical drama.
No.
I went to Vegas 2 weekends
Oh
ago,
yeah. Okay.
which I'm too old. And I maybe I'm like overly aging myself because I keep just leaning into the I'm too old storyline and rolling with it. But like,
Wrapping it around you like a blanket.
yes, using it as an excuse, like, oh, do you want to go to this thing with us, Galena? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm turning 35. I don't really want to go anywhere anymore. So
Galena, I can assure you that we are allowed to go outside past
I know we
35.
are. And I know I need to take the opposite course and be positive and be
Outside at
like, no,
all.
I'm young, I'm vibrant, I
Listen.
can do it all. But what I can't do is Vegas because I don't drink. Not really. Like once in a while,
Mm.
I
Mhm.
drink, but I'm kind of just one of these people that I'm not intentionally sober, but I don't like alcohol and I don't enjoy being drunk. So if I'm drunk, it's like once in a while at some social
Yeah,
thing.
I
But I
hear
went
you.
to Vegas and it's like, I'm in Vegas. What else is there to do here? It's kind of the thing. So
Mhm.
I drank a lot for 2 days, went to
Mhm.
bed at like 4 a.m. both days because nothing there starts until 1 a.m., by the
And
way.
everything's lit weird to make you keep spending money. So like you don't
Mhm.
know unless you're outside. And you were like at a festival, but yeah, I lose track of time so easily there.
Totally lost track of time, was out past my bedtime, consuming alcohol, just absolutely did a number on my immune system. Came back from Vegas, was in bed for a couple of days, totally unwell.
Oh no, like super out of commission.
Yeah, actually sick. And then I bounced back just in time for the Netflix is a Joke festival,
Oh
just
yeah,
for me
but
to be
that's
out and
keep
about again
going.
late. And
Yeah,
I
cuz
didn't drink this weekend because I know better, but I did end up out until like 3 in the morning on Saturday and 2 in the morning on Sunday, which my body cannot handle right now. And it's like, hey, we just barely recovered from last weekend. And now you're doing this to us again. Excuse.
that's why I
And
made that face because everyone just started, like just yesterday, was posting about how dead their body is. And
mhm.
so I was like, you went into that off a cold.
Yeah, I know, and the crazy thing is I felt totally fine, like, I thought I was out of the woods by, like, last Thursday, and I didn't do any of the Netflix stuff until Saturday, so I
Mhm.
really thought I was totally fine, and then this is probably not relevant, this is just me being a woman and having issues, but I have, like, this horrible pain in my left boob, so if there's any doctors listening. No,
No,
I went to
definitely.
get it I went to urgent care to get it checked out yesterday, but of course,
Okay.
they don't have the equipment to really do anything, so they had to
They don't have
refer
like
me off to, like, a
a mammogram
radiologist.
machine. Yeah, they don't have
Yeah, they
like
want me to
a
go get, a mammogram and an
yeah.
ultrasound, and
Yep.
the soonest they could schedule me wasn't until July, so I have to wait until July to go get this thing in my boob checked out.
Oh my gosh. And that's, you know what? Ultrasound sisters, because I also have to go get something checked. And my doctor was like, if they try to make you go like next month, you tell me. Like, we are not waiting that long. And I was like,
Aw.
okay. So apparently, ultrasounds are all the rage.
Apparently, I've never had one done before, I'm kind of excited. I'm not excited for the mammogram because I know that's painful.
No, they suck. That's all I've heard about is my mom's constantly talking about how much they suck.
It has sucked from, I mean, just the start of the onset of these symptoms. It's like this crazy sharp pain, and of course, you definitely can't Google pain and boobs because all it says is breast cancer, of course.
Yeah.
All it gives you is, like, statistics on breast cancer, which, like, I'm not concerned about it being
No,
that,
good.
'cause I have totally different symptoms than what that
Okay,
typically indicates.
cool.
But I did go to urgent care yesterday, and I did get felt up by a very attractive doctor, so that was
Oh,
kinda nice.
well, that was
Not
that
that
was
it
so
was
funny.
sexual at all, but,
No, I it's so funny because I was just talking about this with another friend, is like I am so staunchly not into male doctors.
I typically also am not, but this one had, like,
No,
pretty eyes, and then I couldn't
you're
see the
so
rest of him because he had a mask on, but from here up, he was, like, pretty
oh,
attractive.
oh, like we haven't learned from the pandemic that it's easy to look nice from here up, Galena.
He's had
Jeez
4 years to
Louise.
get the look down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like old ladies looking at my snatch and telling me what's wrong with my junk.
I
Um,
typically prefer that, but yesterday I just
yeah. No, I'm
I
glad
was
you went.
weak and I was leaning into it.
No, and that's not weak at all. I'm so glad you went
Me
because
too.
yeah, we have to
But
take
why are we
care of
falling apart?
ourselves. Yeah, because time. That's what happens. And we're doing good because at least we're like doing whatever we can to, maintain. Imagine how bad we'd feel if we like didn't move at all. From like just having my first car accident I got in when I was 16, and then I got released from physical therapy for my back and got rear-ended again the same like at the end of that week.
Oh, no.
And then when I was like 20, I don't know, mid 20s, I started not being able to feel my big toes.
Oh,
And
no.
so I went to a physical therapist again, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you probably had like once we like." She was like, "Oh, like I had all these car accidents." She was like, "Oh well, you like mentioned dancing. How long did you stop dancing in between car accidents?" And I was like, "I did not at all. I like maybe missed two practices. Like the day I actually got in a car accident, I think I missed practice." And they were like, "Yeah, that probably wasn't the best." And so I just like don't have enough space between. That was like my first experience in like, oh, you just have to like do an exercise now forever to not be in pain. And so it's like, yeah, that's what happens after a while. You just have to like do certain things to maintain like regular comfort.
And honestly, I just saw an
Mhm.
orthopedic surgeon talking about this on TikTok.
Yeah.
I knew this. This is not like brand new knowledge, but one of the worst things that you can do for your body is to become really adept at one sport when you're a child, when your body's still growing. That's like the best way to ruin your body. Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was recommending, and it's like this is never going to happen because otherwise you don't get like Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods level athletes if you don't teach them from a really young age. But the trouble with that is when all your joints and everything are still growing and developing and you're
Mm-hmm.
hyper fixating on doing specific moves, you're
Like
going to wreck your
repetition and
shoulders, you're going to
stuff.
wreck your knees, you're going to wreck your
Yeah.
back. And I can definitely attest to that. I danced too as a kid. I danced from like probably 7 to 16, and I have
Yeah.
bad knees.
Oh my gosh, my knees are trash. Are you kidding me? Hey,
Yeah.
I remember when I was like probably 12 being in dance class and being like, what's that cracking noise? And she was like,
Hmm.
oh, it's the cartilage in your knees rubbing together. And I was like, oh, is that bad? And she was like, not until you run out. She kind of just
Cool.
and she was my teacher was probably like she was probably like 27 and had been dancing at it since I was the age, you know what I mean, that she was talking to me at. And so she was like, whatever. Our bodies like, but I think it's also in sports and things like that, you kind of accept it as almost a badge of honor that you're like dedicating your body to this thing and that you're playing through the pain and this, that, and the other. It like kind of becomes a thing in
It does
more
become a thing, but the
it
cost
worse
is
in
just
more
so
sports than
high.
yeah, for sure. It's like and ours it's our knees and some people it's like CTE and they're like children being afraid of them. So
And the majority of them don't even go on to play professional sports, so they're just wrecking
yeah,
their bodies for no reason. Like, let's say
there's
you play high school football, you're good at it. Let's even say that you went to college and played college football. Now you have CTE and you're trying to figure out my order at Costco. And
you're
what
just a
what was it all
dad.
for?
Yeah, like how many regular ass bar fights are also caused by CTE? Like just from dudes that aren't playing anymore and definitely do not have the money or resources to get a CAT scan or whatever you would get to look for that. And just be like, yeah, you're just like a regular dude with CTE. I have so many friends with stories from like you're saying high school of like, oh yeah, I remember I was dating a guy in high school that like a couple like we were like hanging out at the end of the week and he was like, oh yeah, I gave myself a stinger in practice this week. And he had like hit somebody head on and like had a shot go down his neck and like could not move his body for like a good 5 or 10 minutes and everyone was just kind of crowded around him and he like eventually kind of got feeling back in his body, but it's like he's just a dude now.
That's
Like
prolonged damage. That's
yeah,
absolutely permanent damage.
yes, and then
Like,
like went into the military I think after that. And so
oh,
it's like
good, great.
those people are just walking around like you said being regular like employees at, whatever job they're able to get. Especially now. We're like, yeah.
Here's a good example. Maybe you saw this story that's been all over my feed the last couple days. One of the players on the Chiefs, someone mistakenly invited him to do a commencement speech at a regular ass university that had both men and women graduating. And he gets up on the podium and just starts going hard in the paint about how women have been lied to about getting jobs and that they should just be excited to give up their lives to being mothers and wives. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. And it's like my first thought was it's so funny because unfortunately I'm just going to take you through my tweets from this morning. But
Mm-hmm.
my first thought was just that like, oh, a straight white male millionaire from Georgia has antiquated thoughts about what women should be doing with their lives. Like this isn't news. Like,
Yeah.
and also that people have all not always loved their commencement speech makers, like colleges, not like, oh, we're notorious for, but like you're saying, there's a lot of colleges, they get people based on, you know, just fame or whatever. It's like, I don't know if the person, I feel like you probably do have to get your speech approved.
You
But
would
I would,
think. Nobody
yeah, but
gave it
I
a once
wonder
over.
that's what I mean. But there is a world where you kind of imagine them being like, oh, well, he's a football player. He's going to talk about like a metaphor about going for the goal. And then we'll get into these names I can barely pronounce. Like they could have never, you know what I mean? I wonder if anyone from the school has said anything I'm just also now imagining someone on the like side of the stage just being like, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like someone that didn't.
Like, sir,
But
is that your speech or are you just reading Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale? What's going
well,
on?
well, also like a commencement speech is not usually your springboard to say what you think the world should be. It's which I guess he could have seen it as that because I was going to say it's supposed to be like you're signing your advice that you're giving these people going out into the world that you as someone that has already been where they're at has experienced. And I guess that's what he thought he was giving these young women is like the piece of paper that you just worked 4 years for is a product of a lie that feminism has taught you. Like the rhetoric that I'm preaching right now isn't a product of a rhetoric that benefits me. You know what I mean? It's
Plus
like,
the CTE.
well, he doesn't even get CTE because he's a freaking kicker. You show up like
Ah, well,
three
he
times a
should.
game. You're the smallest dude on the team. And if you screw up like twice, you'll get fired. Like, you're the CEO of football teams. You barely do anything.
Oh, funny.
Like, whatever. But no, I also feel like everybody's entitled to like again. Oh, what I was really gonna say is like, yeah, that's probably not the first time that someone has disagreed with something that a white dude said in their commencement speech. Like, whatever. I'm here to get my piece of paper and get paid so I don't have to deal with people like you when I don't have to. You know what I mean? To like just
Yeah,
go
it's so
on and
true.
live my life because you're never going to get rid of all of the people that think that way of and I'm going to say people because that was my other thing is there's tons of women that agree with him. There's tons of like hardcore like conservative women that live their life to like explain how great it is to make everything from scratch and it's like I don't think there's a shortage of those women like you can go find each other. I don't know why you're so mad about everyone that's choosing to live another way because at this point you need us to work jobs. Like I've seen so many dumb things about like where this started and feminism kicking this off and it's like World War II kicked this off. Y'all left and you needed us to do stuff and then you came back and we didn't go back to like that in itself and as an experience is like trust the women that had the experience to say we lived that life, we were forced into this life and enough of us didn't hate the independence that came with it that we kept it this way. And guess what? The economy wasn't like, boo, more money.
Yeah.
So now
You
you
need two
need
incomes
us.
now.
You
That's the
need
thing.
us and prison labor. Like
Hmm.
we can't. And that was my other point was like, if you really love this idea so much as a man, then like leave the women alone that disagree with you and just fight for a wage that even makes this a reality. Because there's tons of women I'm sure that would love to even work part-time at something they love and be able to get off in time to like not have to pay for daycare or something like that and still have something else in their life that they focus on but maybe not
Absolutely.
40 hours a week.
But they can't in this economy.
That can't exactly. It's like you're ignoring so many different variables in what makes different people happy and what is feasible in the world right now. It's like fight for more money so that you can afford to feed four people and get to go to Disney World once a year. Because that's the thing that people don't realize too is they're comparing wages and life in this idyllic Reagan-esque world that they want to bring back in a world where like people did not have Birkin bags or want to be a real housewife of Atlanta. Like everything that you want does not align. Like the the chances of you even getting a quote unquote housewife that is also matches your idealistic idea of whatever else you want a woman to be and does all that on your whatever salary and you still get a PS5, it ain't
Not
happening,
today.
dog. probably not going to happen. So I don't know. I just think there's a lot of sure, okay, make the world that you want to live in then, bro. Like, if you want a housewife, make it happen.
Well, they'll
Because,
be vetting them, I think, with this story and the extent to which the university is getting backlash for hiring him, that there's going to
uh,
be probably a little more vetting going on these days. There's
yep.
probably many universities that he absolutely could have gone to, and it would have been fine. Like, what is
He
it?
could have he could have done it as a at a men's college and said it
He could
into
have
the
done it at a
ether
men's
and
college.
just
He
said
could
it
have
to
done it
no
at like,
women.
yeah, it could have been Brigham Young University, like one of the big
uh,
Mormon places. They would have
yeah.
appreciated that
Yep.
rhetoric. But
Yeah.
nah, he picked a regular ass school with probably, I feel like the majority of, by a small margin, I think more women actually graduate college than men.
Yeah.
I think it's a little, let me double check my work, but I'm pretty sure that that's accurate.
I mean, I would not believe it. We're half of the people. And
Yeah.
like we just said, we need money to live. There aren't a lot of,
Oh yeah, it's more women. It's for sure more women. This
yeah.
says just in California, 36% of women will earn a bachelor's degree, compared to 24% of men.
Wow.
Yeah,
And I would say only to attribute some of that to whatever percentage of labor jobs are left and like welders and things like that. That there are still women, but there's a smaller percentage of women, and like men probably get more of those trade jobs. But then we have cosmetic positions that would also count as trade jobs. So it's like, yeah, man,
it's
you
true. But
can't
women
put
should
the
get into more
can't put the
construction
educ
jobs too, I think,
yeah.
because I heard it described recently as just giant arts and crafts, and I really like that.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, renovating is just giant arts and crafts. That's
welding
a better way to
sounds
think about it.
sick.
Yeah,
And I dated a guy that like my first boyfriend ever went through welding school while we were together, and it sounded awesome, and they need small people to get into crawl spaces to like weld pipes together for, you know what I mean, like um oxygen to flow through the walls in hospitals and stuff like that, like, and it you make bank, like it's physical and hard, but they get paid once you like put in that work, if you can get in a good, but they're, yeah, it's great, they're unions, they're awesome. Trade, yeah, trades like that are awesome.
and
I
they can't
always
be
felt
replaced
like,
by AI. Not as
yeah,
easily, that's for sure.
I mean, part, yeah, it'll be, even if you have to be the person to operate the robot to get into the space, yeah, like they can't, yeah, you're right, it has to be kind of like looked at and created. um because, yeah, and it is like it gets into architecture of like, knowing, navigating different other things in the walls, all of like the architecture of the building. Welding is sick. um
I wonder if I would do well with welding or if that's something that I would be like very intimidated by. I can see
um
myself not being bad at it.
I mean, I feel like it seems pretty cool. I have a friend, it's not exactly the same, but it's still working with molten hot metal. My friend Blue is a silversmith. My friend that makes all my
Ooh,
rings. I
that's
don't have
very
any
cool.
rings right now, but yeah, she is fantastic and loves it, and trained. But I wonder if she went to school. I think she like learned from another silversmith, but I know that she's like done a bunch of like other additional learning different things about molds and stuff, but I don't know if she did all that on her own. But yeah, silversmithing seems cool too.
It does. Speaking of arts and crafts, tell me about the transition into including art in your stand-up.
um I mean, it's so funny. Well, our mutual friend, your like bestie, kind of was the catalyst for it. I was coming out to LA to do shows, and our mutual friend was um oh, sorry, I'll say that again. Our mutual friend like asked me to do a show at the Elysian, and I was like, yeah, sure. But then afterwards was like, well, we normally do better with different, like more unconventional shows, so whatever you do, like maybe make it not stand up. And at first I was like irate. Like I was like, what the fuck? Like you booked me, you know I do stand up. Like you know what I mean? Like I've done
Mhm.
some other things, but like I was like I do stand up. Why would you book me and then tell me not to do stand up? And so that was really what forced me even into the space of like doing a different kind of hour. And then I was like, it just kind of snowballed from there, and it kind of started as something different, and it kind of by the end I was like, oh, I know how I want to do this kind of thing, and like where I wanted the drawings to fit in. But drawing was also us talking about like being creative and the things that you really love to do as a person and finding your passions as a human and a woman. Like art is the thing that I always wanted to do that I was always discouraged from doing because it doesn't make money. Like I wanted to be an artist my whole life, like an illustrator, like actually draw, and was always kind of like, okay, well, that's cute, but like you have to have a job. So I was always more encouraged to do it, but as a hobby, which the older you get, kind of just turns into discouragement because you're focused so much on going to college, getting good grades, doing all of these things that equate to money. So I was always just kind of in the back of my head. And then the older I got, the more self conscious I got about not being great at it because you are around people who are amazing. Like even in high
Mhm.
school, you know what I mean? People that are just great artists that could be actual illustrators or whatever. And so just seeing that made me just never do it at all. And so I kind of had this like, paralyzing relationship with it where I would try or like draw randomly, but then, stop or whatever. And this show kind of forced me to go through a story kind of format and like find different ways that I wanted to express myself through the drawings that enhanced either the jokes or the sad parts or whatever that was, or like say things in a way that looks better than when I say them because a lot of them involve words, but they're just words that look better or I feel like hit differently when you look at the illustration of what I'm trying to say than if you heard me say it.
That's how it
Um
felt watching the show. It also felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that it like kind of makes the hour a little more fluid where you can like structure it around the picture. Did you structure it around the pictures or did you go the reverse way? Did you have the hour and structure the pictures around the
they
jokes you
kind
already
of
had?
happen together, but also like I would read it through and add a drawing or take it out or you know what I mean? Like be like, oh, there were certain things that were definitely built around a drawing. Like chunks of it were definitely like, this is the drawing that I want, and how do I get to that? But then there were other parts where I would go forever and be like, oh, I don't have a drawing in here, and kind of find a space for one. So it kind of ended up happening both ways. But I feel like there was maybe like I think even when I first started, it was more words and it kind of evolved. The more comfortable I got with it, the more the drawings took a bigger part of the space on the screen and the words started being, you know what I mean, supporting. Um, and even the new drawing that I want to add to it, I feel like the drawing is more prevalent than the words, even if the words are still a very impactful part of the story, they aren't as physically big. Like the drawings are starting
Yeah.
to, which I think is kind of probably subliminally because I'm feeling more comfortable with it. But yeah, so this is like the most fulfilled I feel like I've ever been. Like when people are talking about like, oh my God, younger me, blah, blah, blah. I've always been like, younger me really wouldn't have thought. I didn't really think this far into my life. I always thought I just wanted to be alone with a golden retriever. That was all I ever wanted for myself was just to live alone. I wanted to move out and get a golden retriever. That was all I ever pictured for myself. So I'm doing great compared to that. I have a cat. They're easier to take care of. And yeah, like but I feel like there's definitely a part of me that would love that I'm like making myself draw and kind of
I
make
love it. It was, first of all, such a refreshing format to watch.
oh,
And it felt so complimentary to what you already were doing because you already had all these funny jokes that were like really woven. You do a good job storytelling, which I feel like sometimes it's either someone is just a storyteller or just a joke writer, but you're really integrated with that. So the drawing was just super complimentary and added this additional element that, again, it's like so refreshing to see because it's not, I couldn't tell you the last time that I saw anything that was like kind of off the cuff stand up wise.
thanks. Yeah, no, it made me really I hadn't said any of that stuff out loud in that order before. Like there were jokes in there that I've told before, but I'd never done the hour. I had never run any of that in front of anyone. And couldn't have I couldn't have expected it to go back. Like that was the best I could have ever expected it to go. So I'm really excited, like I said, to like add more to it and get better and just keep making myself. I don't know. There were so many different hangups I had about illustrating that I feel now it's like they don't exist anymore. Like I have a series of drawings I'm going to work on for my grandma. I have a
Oh,
series of drawings about my hand. Like it's kind of nice to just be like, oh, this outlet, was always there and now I can just, really let myself tap into it. So,
I love that. Well, Katrina Davis, thank you so much for doing this. Please plug whatever's going on. Where can people find you?
you can find me at Katrina Savad. It's Katrina with a K and then just Davis backwards, SIVAD. And if you live in New York, follow me on Instagram and I'll post where shows are because I used to live in LA, but I just moved here. So I'll be here all summer. And yeah, thank you. I love you, Galena. I miss
I
you.
love you too. I miss you too. Thank you
This
so much for
podcast
doing
is
this.
awesome. Go
Thank
listen to
you.
all the other episodes if you're just listening to this because we're friends. Go listen to Omid's. It's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Listen to it, and if you're listening to it, if you wouldn't mind just giving me like a little review or something. I never ask. I never do
You
calls to
have
action on this
to.
podcast. I know. So this is me doing a call to action. If you're enjoying the show, please just give me a little 5-star review. It's free to do. It takes a couple seconds and it means a lot to me. But either way, thank you for listening.
Yay. I work in marketing. We don't want to have to do this, but we have to play the game. Apple likes the reviews.
All right. Thank you so much. Sorry I was so late.
No, you're fine. I love you.
I love you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.